He trusts us completely. He has no idea what we're planning for his future. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, sandwiched between spam about cryptocurrency and a reminder that Kieran's student loans were due. The subject line read, "Your work has caught our attention." Kieran Ashford stared at his laptop screen in the cramped studio apartment that served as both his bedroom and office. He'd been freelancing for 3 years since graduating with his computer science degree, building modest apps for modest clients, always dreaming of something bigger. The sender was Vivian Cross, CEO of Nexus Tech Solutions, a startup he'd vaguely heard mentioned in tech podcasts. "We've reviewed your open-source contributions, particularly your work on predictive algorithms." The email read, "We believe you're exactly the kind of visionary we need for Project Catalyst. Salary range, $180,000 to $220,000. Let's talk." His hands trembled slightly as he typed a response. Within an hour, he had a video call scheduled. Vivian appeared on screen like someone from a different world. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail, and she wore a charcoal blazer that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Behind her, floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a skyline he recognized as downtown Seattle's business district. "Kieran," she said, her voice warm and confident. "Thank you for responding so quickly. I'll be direct. We need someone with your particular gift for pattern recognition. Project Catalyst is going to revolutionize how humans interact with technology." She spoke of artificial intelligence that could anticipate needs, of a future where technology served humanity seamlessly. Her passion was infectious, her vision intoxicating. Kieran found himself leaning toward the screen, captivated not just by her words, but by the intensity in her green eyes. "When can you start?" she asked, and he heard himself saying next Monday before his rational mind could intervene. The Nexus Tech offices occupied the 20th floor of a glass tower in Seattle's tech corridor. Kieran's first day began with Vivian personally giving him a tour. The space was all modern minimalism, white walls, ergonomic furniture, and an espresso machine that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. "This is Marcus Thorne, our lead investor and strategic advisor," Vivian said, introducing a tall man with silver-streaked hair and an unsettling smile. Marcus's handshake was firm, almost aggressive. "Kieran, Vivian's told me about your algorithms. Impressive work for someone so young." Something in his tone made the compliment feel like an assessment. "And this is Lila Winters, our data scientist. You'll be working closely with her." Lila looked up from her workstation, and Kieran felt his breath catch slightly. She had auburn hair that fell in waves past her shoulders and striking blue eyes that seemed to evaluate him in a single glance. She offered a small smile that didn't quite reach those eyes. "Welcome to the team," Lila said. "I hope you're ready for long hours." That first week passed in a blur. Kieran's workspace was a dream. 3 curved monitors, unlimited computing resources, and a blank check for any software he needed. Project Catalyst, he learned, was an AI system designed to predict human behavior patterns based on aggregated data. The applications, Vivian explained, were endless: personalized medicine, educational optimization, crime prevention. "Imagine," she said during one late-night session when most of the office had emptied, "a world where we can anticipate mental health crises before they happen, where we can identify potential terrorists before they act, where we can match people to their perfect careers, their perfect partners." She stood close enough that he could smell her perfume, something expensive and subtle. Her hand rested briefly on his shoulder. "You're going to help us build that world, Kieran. I can feel it." He worked 16-hour days, fueled by ambition and an intoxicating sense that he was finally part of something important. Lila often worked late, too, and they developed an easy rhythm, sharing Chinese takeout and debugging code in companionable silence. But sometimes, late at night, he'd notice things. Vivian and Marcus disappearing into the conference room with the frosted glass, their voices low and urgent, encrypted files on the shared drive he didn't have access to. The way Lila's smile would sometimes fade when she thought he wasn't looking, replaced by something that looked almost like guilt. "Are you okay?" he asked her one evening, 2 weeks into his employment. She looked at him for a long moment, and he thought she might say something important. Instead, she just smiled and returned to her screen. Never better. just tired. Kieran pushed the unease aside. He was building something revolutionary, with brilliant people who believed in him. For the first time in his life, he felt like he truly belonged. He had no idea what they were really building, or what they planned to do with him when it was complete. The code flowed from Kieran's fingertips like water, elegant and purposeful. 3 weeks into Project Catalyst, he'd achieved what the previous development team had struggled with for months: a neural network that could process behavioral data with unprecedented accuracy. "You're a machine," Lila said one Thursday evening, rolling her chair over to his desk. The office was empty except for them, the city lights twinkling 20 stories below. "When was the last time you went home before midnight?" "When was the last time you did?" he countered, grinning. She laughed, a genuine sound that made something warm bloom in his chest. "Fair point. Come on, let's at least get real food instead of vending machine coffee and stale bagels." They found a small Italian restaurant still open in Pike Place Market. Over pasta and red wine, Kieran discovered that Lila had grown up in Montana, that she taught herself programming at 12, that she loved old noir films and had a rescue cat named Algorithm. "All go for short," she said, and he laughed so hard he nearly choked on his wine. "What about you?" she asked, her blue eyes catching the candlelight. "What's Kieran Ashford's origin story?" He told her about his parents, both teachers who didn't understand his obsession with computers but supported him anyway, about his younger sister studying environmental science in California, about the loneliness of freelancing, the constant fear of not being good enough. "And now," Lila asked softly, "now I feel like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be." Something flickered across her face, pain maybe or regret, but it vanished so quickly he might have imagined it. Her hand moved across the table, fingers intertwining with his. The touch sent electricity through him. "Kieran," she said, and his name on her lips sounded like both a promise and a warning. "There are things about this project." Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and withdrew her hand abruptly, her expression shuddering. "It's Vivian. We should get back." The moment dissolved, leaving Kieran confused and wanting more. Their relationship shifted after that night. Stolen glances across the office, fingers brushing as they passed documents. The tension between them grew thick enough to cut, but something always interrupted. A meeting with Marcus, an urgent call from Vivian, Lila herself pulling away whenever they got too close. Meanwhile, Project Catalyst evolved rapidly. Kieran's algorithms could now predict consumer behavior with 92% accuracy, anticipate social media trends before they emerged, map the spread of information through populations. "This is incredible work," Vivian said during a progress review. She stood behind his chair, close enough that her breath stirred his hair. "You're exceeding every expectation, Kieran. Marcus and I were just discussing your future with the company. We see you as much more than an employee." "Thank you," he said, uncomfortable with her proximity, but flattered by her words. "I'm just excited about the applications. Imagine using this for disaster response. Or so much more," Marcus interjected, entering the room. "The potential is limitless, though some applications require discretion." Kieran's instincts prickled. "What do you mean?" "Nothing to worry about now," Vivian said smoothly, her hand squeezing his shoulder. "Let's focus on perfecting the core system. Everything else will follow." That evening, Kieran stayed late troubleshooting a data processing bottleneck. He was alone, or thought he was, until he heard voices from the conference room, Marcus and Vivian, speaking in urgent whispers. He shouldn't eavesdrop. He knew that, but something made him move closer. "Timing is crucial," Marcus was saying. "Once he completes the behavioral prediction module, we can move forward with Phase 2. "He trusts us completely," Vivian replied. "He won't question the expanded data parameters. And if he does, then Lila does her job. She's already got him hooked." Kieran's blood turned cold. He retreated silently to his desk, mind racing. An hour later, Lila emerged from wherever she'd been. She found him still sitting in the dark, staring at his screens. "Hey," she said softly. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." He studied her face, the concern that seemed genuine, the warmth in her eyes that had drawn him in. Was it all an act? Was she simply doing her job, as Vivian had implied? Lila, what exactly is Project Catalyst for? What's the real application? She went very still. What do you mean? We're building predictive algorithms for her. Don't. His voice came out harsher than intended. Don't give me the official line. What are we really building? For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she pulled up a chair, sitting so close their knees touched. Kieran, She took a shaky breath. This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to. She reached out, cupping his face in her hands. I'm so sorry. Before he could process her words, she kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, almost frantic, filled with apology and desire and fear all tangled together. He responded instinctively, his hands finding her waist, pulling her closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lila rested her forehead against his. Meet me tomorrow night, she whispered. Not here. Somewhere public. I'll tell you everything. Tell me now. I can't. The office is monitored. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. The coffee shop on Madison Street. Please, Kieran, trust me one more time. She left before he could respond, leaving him alone with his racing thoughts and the lingering warmth of her lips. Kieran returned to his code, but the elegant algorithms now looked like prison bars. What had he built, and what would it cost him to learn the truth? Kieran barely slept that night. He lay in his apartment watching shadows crawl across the ceiling, replaying Lila's kiss, Vivian's overheard words, Marcus's calculating smile. By dawn, he convinced himself he was being paranoid. By the time he arrived at the office, exhaustion had dulled his suspicions into a manageable background hum. Good morning, superstar. Vivian greeted him, 2 expensive lattes in hand. She offered him one with a dazzling smile. I have incredible news. Marcus secured another round of funding based on your progress. We're talking 8 figures. Kieran, this project is about to go stratospheric. The coffee was perfect, exactly how he liked it. Had he told her his preference, or had she simply observed? That's amazing, he said, accepting the cup. What does that mean for the timeline? It means we accelerate. I need you to integrate the real-time data streams today. Social media, purchase history, location data, biometric information, everything. The system needs to see the complete picture of human behavior. Something in her tone made him hesitate. That's a massive amount of personal data. What about privacy protocols? Consent frameworks? Vivian's smile never wavered. All handled on the legal side. Don't worry about the bureaucracy. Kieran, focus on the brilliance. That's what you're here for. She left, and he stared at his screens. The code was ready. Technically, integrating those data streams would be elegant. A beautiful symphony of information flows. But ethically, morning, Lila's voice startled him. She looked tired, dark circles under her eyes. Can we talk? Privately. They walked to the building's rooftop terrace, ostensibly for fresh air. The November wind bit at their faces. I know you heard something last night, Lila said, without preamble. I could see it in your eyes. Are you supposed to manipulate me? Is that why you... He couldn't finish the sentence. It started that way, she admitted, and the honesty hurt worse than a lie would have. Vivian assigned me to get close to you, make sure you stayed engaged and didn't ask too many questions. She turned to face him fully, eyes glistening. But, Kieran, what I feel now, that's real. That's why I'm breaking protocol. Tonight, the coffee shop. I'll bring evidence. Everything they haven't told you. Tell me now. I can't. I need to gather files first. If I'm caught before tonight, if they think I'm compromised... She grabbed his hand. Please, 8 p.m. I promise you'll understand everything. He wanted to pull away, to protect himself from further manipulation. Instead, he squeezed her hand back. 8 p.m. The day crawled by. Kieran worked on autopilot, integrating the data streams Vivian requested while his mind spun in circles. Marcus appeared around 3 p.m., his presence filling the doorway like a shadow. Walk with me, Marcus said. It wasn't a request. They rode the elevator to the executive suite, a floor Kieran had never visited. Marcus's office was all dark wood and leather, with a view that made the city look like a toy. "Vivian tells me you have questions about privacy," Marcus said, pouring 2 glasses of scotch without asking if Kieran wanted one. "I appreciate that. It means you're thinking beyond the code." He handed Kieran a glass and settled into the chair opposite him, close enough that Kieran could see flecks of gold in his gray eyes. "Let me share the real vision with you, Kieran, the one we save for people we trust." He leaned forward. Project Catalyst isn't just about predicting behavior. It's about shaping it. Imagine having the power to influence elections by identifying and targeting swing voters with precisely calibrated messages, to prevent crimes by identifying potential criminals before they act, and preemptively adjusting their environment to steer them away from crime, to optimize entire societies. Kieran's stomach turned. That's not prediction. That's control. "Control is such an ugly word," Marcus said smoothly. "I prefer guidance. We'd be helping people make better decisions, live better lives. Yes, there are commercial applications. Governments and corporations will pay fortunes for this technology. But the greater good, Kieran, think of the suffering we could prevent. And who decides what's better? What's the greater good?" Marcus smiled like a teacher pleased with a student's question. "We do. People like us, intelligent, educated, with a vision to see beyond the chaos. Democracy is beautiful in theory, but in practice, the masses elect demagogues, believe conspiracy theories, destroy themselves with short-term thinking. We can fix that." Every word sounded reasonable in isolation, but assembled together, they formed something monstrous. Kieran set down his untouched scotch. "I need to think about this." "Of course," Marcus said. "Take all the time you need. We're not monsters, Kieran. We just see what's possible and have the courage to reach for it. Most people don't. But you're special. Vivian saw it immediately. You could be a partner in this, not just an employee. The rewards would be extraordinary." Kieran returned to his desk in a daze. He completed the integration work mechanically, his fingers executing commands while his mind reeled. Around 6 p.m., as the office emptied, he noticed something while testing the new data flows. A directory he hadn't seen before. Hidden, but not well enough. His security clearance had apparently been upgraded with the new funding. He opened it. Files upon files of existing deployments. Project Catalyst wasn't theoretical. It was already operational. He saw contracts with 3 foreign governments, 2 major political campaigns, a coalition of consumer goods corporations. The AI was already predicting behavior, and according to deployment logs, already implementing behavioral nudges. One file showed a case study, a small city in the Midwest where the system had been beta tested. Crime rates had dropped 30%. So had civic engagement, protest activity, and union membership. The population had become more compliant, more predictable, more controllable. His phone buzzed. A text from Lila. "Running late. 8:30 instead? I have everything." Kieran saved copies of the files to an encrypted drive. His hands shook as he shut down his computer. He'd built this. His elegant algorithms were the engine driving a machine designed to strip humanity of free will, one optimized decision at a time. He left the office in a fog, nearly colliding with Vivian in the lobby. "Kieran!" She grasped his arm, steadying him. "You look pale. Are you feeling all right?" "Just tired. Long day." Her green eyes searched his face. "Marcus told me about your conversation. I hope he didn't overwhelm you. We have such ambitious plans, and you're at the center of all of them." Her hand moved from his arm to his chest, resting over his heart. "You're brilliant, Kieran. Together, we're going to change the world." The sincerity in her voice almost convinced him. "Almost. I need to go," he managed. "Early start tomorrow." He walked to the coffee shop in the cold November evening, arriving 15 minutes early. Ordered tea he didn't drink. Watched the door. 8:30 came and went. No Lila. At 9 p.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. Kieran Ashford? A woman's voice, professional and cold. "This is Detective Sarah Chun, Seattle PD. I'm calling about Lila Winters." You're listed as her emergency contact in her work directory. The world tilted. What happened? There's been an accident. Ms. Winters was struck by a vehicle while crossing the street approximately 40 minutes ago. She's at Harborview Medical Center. Are you able to come identify her belongings? Kieran ran. The hospital's fluorescent lights turned everything harsh and unreal. Kieran found Lila in the ICU, unconscious, her auburn hair matted with blood. Machines beeped rhythmically, tracking vital signs that looked fragile and insufficient. She's stable, a doctor told him. Fractured ribs, concussion, internal bruising. She was lucky the driver swerved at the last second. The doctor paused. The police say there were no skid marks before the swerve, like the driver aimed at her, then changed their mind. Kieran's blood turned to ice. Detective Chin appeared, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a kind face. Mr. Ashford, I need to ask you some questions. Ms. Winters was carrying this when she was hit. She held up a water-damaged messenger bag. It contained several encrypted drives and what appears to be corporate documents. Given your work relationship, can you explain what she might have been doing with these? Kieran's mind raced. If he told the truth, he implicated himself. If he lied, Lila's evidence might disappear. She was meeting me, he said carefully, to discuss concerns about our project. I think someone didn't want that conversation to happen. The detective's expression sharpened. Someone from her company? I don't know, but I intend to find out. He stayed at the hospital until dawn, holding Lila's hand and watching her breathe. When his phone rang with Vivian's number, he let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Then Marcus. Then Vivian again. Finally, a text from Vivian. Heard about Lila's accident. How awful. Take the day off. We'll cover your work. The casual tone made his skin crawl. Around 8 a.m., a nurse approached. Mr. Ashford, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. Dr. Helena Voss. The woman who entered was in her mid-40s, with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. She wore a visitor badge, but carried herself with authority. I'm an ethics consultant, she said quietly. I was hired by Nexus Tech as board 6 months ago to audit Project Catalyst. They terminated my contract 2 weeks ago when my report raised red flags. She glanced at Lila. I heard about the accident. Accidents seem to happen to people who ask too many questions about that project. Kieran's exhaustion made him reckless. What do you know? Everything, Helena said. The deployments, the manipulation campaigns, the plans to scale globally. But I can't prove it. They scrubbed my access immediately. However, if you still have system access, and if Ms. Winters' evidence survived. She handed him a business card. Call me when you're ready to do something about it. She left before he could respond. Kieran returned to his apartment around noon, finally listening to his voicemails. Vivian's voice was honey smooth. Kieran, darling, please call me. We're worried about you. Marcus, more direct. We need to discuss your future with the company. Call immediately. And finally, Vivian again. Kieran, I understand you're upset about Lila. These things happen in big cities. But we need you focused. Project Catalyst is at a critical juncture. Don't let emotion derail everything you've built. He wanted to scream. Instead, he pulled out the encrypted drive he'd loaded the previous night. The files were still there, evidence of everything Project Catalyst really was. He also had Lila's water-damaged bag, which Detective Chun had released him as next of kin. Inside, he found 3 drives that might be recoverable corporate access cards and a handwritten note on coffee-stained paper. Kieran, I'm sorry for everything. The truth is on these drives. Kill switch code is in the main repository under diagnostic_tools at PY. They don't know what it does. Activate it, and everything crashes irreversibly. I love you. I'm sorry I didn't say it when I had the chance. Ed? His hands trembled, holding the note. She'd loved him. She'd been willing to destroy her career, maybe her life, to protect him from the truth. He spent the afternoon attempting data recovery on Lila's drives. 2 were destroyed, but the third yielded a treasure trove. Internal communications between Vivian and Marcus discussing asset management. That's what they called him, an asset. Emails with foreign governments describing population optimization. Financial projections based on selling the system to authoritarian regimes. And videos. Surveillance footage from a Nexus Tech offices showing Vivian instructing Lila to establish emotional dependence with their gifted but naive new programmer. Showing Marcus meeting with individuals Kieran later identified as corporate espionage specialists. Showing both of them toasting with champagne the day Kieran completed the behavioral prediction module, Vivian saying, "He has no idea what he's built for us." Beautiful. Kieran vomited in his bathroom sink. His phone rang. Vivian. He ignored it. It rang again immediately. Against his better judgment, he answered. "Kieran." Her voice was sharp now, the warmth stripped away. "You've been avoiding us. That's unwise. We've invested heavily in you, in your future. You don't want to jeopardize that." "I know what Project Catalyst really is," he said. "I've seen the deployments, the manipulation, everything." Silence. Then, "I see. And what do you plan to do with that knowledge?" "I haven't decided." "Let me help you decide." Her voice turned to ice. "You sign an NDA that's ironclad. You speak to anyone, the press, the police, your parents, and we'll destroy you financially and legally. You'll spend the next decade in court, buried in debt. But more importantly, Kieran, think about what you'd be destroying. We're doing important work. Difficult work, yes, but necessary. The world is chaos. We're bringing order. You're bringing tyranny." "Tyranny?" She laughed. "We're helping people make better choices, preventing suffering, optimizing society. You're a genius with code, Kieran, but you're naive about how the world really works. Power exists whether you like it or not. We're simply ensuring it's wielded by people intelligent enough to use it responsibly. And if I don't agree, then you've made an enemy you can't afford to have. Think about your sister in California. Think about your parents. Think about Lila lying in that hospital bed. Accidents happen, Kieran, especially to people who don't understand when they're in over their heads." The threat was clear. "I need time," he managed. "You have 24 hours. Report to the office tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll discuss your continued role and compensation, like rational adults, or don't come and accept the consequences." She hung up. Kieran sat in the dark for a long time. Then he called Detective Chun and told her everything. She listened, asked careful questions, then delivered the bad news. Without concrete evidence that the accident was deliberate, without proof that Nexus Tech's activities violated specific laws, there was little she could do. "Corporate crimes are federal jurisdiction," she said apologetically. "And what you're describing, it's murky. Predictive algorithms, behavioral targeting. Where's the line between advertising and manipulation? You need the FBI, probably the FTC, and they need time to build a case." Time he didn't have. He called Helena Voss instead. "I'm ready," he said. "But I need to know, do you have any way to stop this beyond just exposing it? Because exposure might not be enough." "I was hoping you'd ask that," Helena said. "Tell me about this kill switch." The plan was insane. Kieran knew that even as he coded through the night, embedding his trap deeper into Project Catalyst core systems, the kill switch Lila had started became something more elegant and devastating in his hands. Not just a shutdown command, but a poison pill that would corrupt every deployed instance of the system simultaneously, rendering all the data useless and the algorithms unrepairable. More importantly, it would broadcast evidence of Nexus Tech's activities to every endpoint the system touched: government agencies, corporate partners, media outlets. The data would flood out before anyone could stop it, a digital confessional that would implicate everyone involved. Helena had done her part, contacting journalists at 3 major outlets with embargoed stories ready to publish the moment Kieran executed the kill switch. Detective Chun had agreed to be ready with warrants, pending confirmation of corporate malfeasance. Everything hinged on him walking into Nexus Tech the next morning and acting normal long enough to deploy the code. At 8 a.m., exhausted and running on coffee and fear, Kieran visited Lila one more time. She was awake, groggy but conscious. "Kieran," she whispered, her voice raw. "Did you find everything? You were right about all of it." He took her hand gently. "I'm going to fix it." "Don't." Her grip strengthened desperately. "They'll destroy you. Just walk away. Please." "I can't. You almost died trying to stop them. I built the weapon they're using. This is my responsibility." Tears slipped down her bruised face. "Then come back to me. Promise me you'll come back." He kissed her forehead. "I promise." The lie tasted bitter. Nexus Tech's offices looked the same, sleek, modern, innocent. Vivian was waiting in the lobby, dressed in a crimson suit that looked like war paint. "Kieran." Her smile was tight. "I'm glad you made the right choice. Let's talk in my office." Marcus was already there, standing by the window like a sentinel. The door closed behind Kieran with a soft click that sounded like a cell locking. "So," Vivian said, settling behind her desk, "have you calmed down? Regained perspective?" "I've had time to think," Kieran said carefully, "and I have questions before I decide anything." "Fair enough." Marcus moved closer, his presence intimidating. "Ask." "The deployments I saw, how many people are you manipulating right now?" Vivian didn't hesitate. 14 million across 6 countries. By next year, we project 200 million. And they're happier, Kieran. Crime is down. Productivity is up. Social cohesion is improving. The data is undeniable. Happier? Or just more compliant? Is there a difference? Marcus asked. Most people don't want freedom. They want security, comfort, purpose. We provide that. We eliminate the anxiety of choice. You eliminate free will. Free will is an illusion anyway, Vivian said. Humans are biological machines responding to stimuli. We're just optimizing the inputs. You know this. Your code proves it. Human behavior is predictable, therefore controllable. We're not changing reality, just acknowledging it. Kieran felt sick. They believed every word. They'd rationalized themselves into monsters so thoroughly they couldn't see what they'd become. And if I refused to continue, the temperature in the room dropped. Then we're disappointed, Vivian said softly. And disappointed. We'd have to protect our investment. You understand, this is billions of dollars at stake. Global implications. We can't allow one person's crisis of conscience to derail it. She stood, moving around the desk. But it won't come to that. You're brilliant, Kieran, but you're also practical. We're offering you partnership. Real equity. 5% of the company. You'd be wealthy beyond imagination. She was close now, her hand on his shoulder like before. But her touch felt reptilian. Help us make the world better. Or at least don't stand in the way. Kieran met her eyes. And Lila's accident? Accidents happen, Marcus said flatly. Especially to people who betray us. But she'll recover, unless we have reason to revisit the situation. The threat hung in the air. Kieran made his choice. I need access to my terminal. If I'm going to continue, I need to complete the integration we discussed. The real-time biometric feeds. Vivian's smile returned. Of course. I knew you'd see reason. Marcus, give him executive clearance. Let's finish this today. They walked him to his desk. Watched as he logged in. He coded with him standing over his shoulder. Vivian's perfume cloying. Marcus's breathing steady and patient. The kill switch was already embedded. He just had to trigger it. But he needed them distracted, needed a moment where they weren't watching his screen. I need coffee, he said. The good stuff from Vivian's office. My brain's not working. I'll get it, Marcus said, surprisingly accommodating. Vivian, come with me. We should let the artist work. Vivian hesitated, but Marcus's hand on her arm was insistent. They left together, speaking in low voices. Kieran had maybe 90 seconds. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Authorization codes. Deployment triggers. The kill switch activated through a seemingly innocuous system diagnostic that would propagate through every instance of Project Catalyst within minutes. He executed the command. A simple progress bar appeared. System diagnostic running. 0%. Then he opened a new window and began coding something meaningless. just lines of busy work to show them when they returned. They came back with coffee. Marcus set it down beside him, eyes scanning the screen. Everything on track? Perfectly, Kieran said. His monitor showed innocent code. In the background, invisible, the poison spread. By the time they realized what was happening, 45 minutes later, it was too late. Alarms started blaring. Screens across the office filled with error messages. Vivian's phone lit up with frantic calls. Marcus ran to his terminal. Fingers hammering keys, but the system was collapsing too fast.